CATV is proudly presented by Toyota.
Good time in the middle for yourself, but obviously after you're out, it really went wrong for the team. As your first Ashes Test match, how do you almost sum up your emotions and how the team are feeling this evening?
Yeah, obviously it was a disappointing session, session just before tea, which really sort of swung the game a little bit. But you know, credits to the Australian bowlers. I think they bowled really well through the innings. Really, we never really got away from them at any point. On a personal note, yeah, loved the challenge. It was great to get involved and to be part of the start of the Ashes, so to speak. Yeah, loved being out there, loved the battle. The Australian boys, they came hard, and it's where you want to be as a cricketer.
It was a dramatic collapse. Can you put your finger on what the chat in the dressing room was about why England sort of collapsed so badly? I
think like any good spell, I think it's always hard starting your innings against a bowling unit that have got their tails up, and I think pretty much that was the case with the guys who came in just in that little stint there before tea. Like I said, the Australians had some good plans, and early on in your innings where you're vulnerable, I guess we weren't quite good enough today. Having said that, it's a new day tomorrow.
Was any of that bowling, particularly from Mitchell Johnson when he really got going, quicker or better than anything you've experienced before in your career, Michael?
Yeah, well, Mitchell is a world-class performer, as we know. He definitely be in terms of pace. I mean, he's up there with some of the quickest I've faced in my time, definitely. And more importantly, he put the ball in the right area, which is always going to be tough for anyone, I guess. But our preparations for the game, we knew what he was going to bring. And like I said, we weren't quite up to it today, but tomorrow's a new day. We still have another innings to prove ourselves, and I'm pretty confident we will do that.
Michael, you're obviously new to the Ashes, very experienced cricketer, but how does it affect your confidence to see so many senior England players struggling so badly in a Test match like this?
Well, I wouldn't say struggling. I mean, struggling is a bit strong. I just think, like I said, any batsman, whether you've played first-class cricket or Test cricket, your first couple of balls at the crease is always going to be the toughest phase of your innings. And if there's some good balls flying around, unfortunately, sometimes if it's not your day, your name's on it. So, look, these guys are proven world-class performers, the England batsmen I'm talking about. So, I mean, you don't become bad players overnight, and it's basically a bad session, which can happen to any team. But like I said, I'm positive we'll come back strong.
Michael, hi. Like Joe said, you're new to this side, and even though you've played a Test match before, but it's quite a recurring theme with England teams in the first innings of a Test series, particularly away from home. They seem to underperform. Has there been any talk about that in the build-up to this game, about the need to actually set out a marker from the first innings of the series? And did the boys talk about doing anything differently to try and avoid what we've seen again today?
No, I wouldn't say there was too much chat about what's gone on in the past, because I don't think there's much sense in doing that. We came out here full of confidence, knowing we know our games pretty well, what's made us successful over the last couple of years, and the brand of cricket we wanted to play out here. We recognise that there are certain stages of an innings that are important to get through as a batting unit, and one being the new ball, and it sort of proved it in the Australian first innings. We managed to get their openers pretty cheaply as well. So it is a phase during the innings that you have to try and battle through, and then obviously run scoring becomes a little bit easier, as had improved yesterday through the day.
Michael, Johnson was perhaps the most eye-catching bowler because of his pace, but Nathan Lyon's part was pretty important. He got a fair bit of turn and bounce on a day 2 pitch, didn't he?
Yeah, I would say more so for the left-handers coming out the footholes. He bowled pretty well, and it obviously allowed them to rotate the seamers from the other end. You know, but yeah, you know, look, they're a good bowling unit, and we respected that. We knew that coming out here. You know, they're not a team to be taken lightly, and we certainly haven't. Like I said, they put the ball in the right area, and we weren't quite on it today. But tomorrow, obviously, is a new day. We have to focus on trying to get back in the game, and then we can sort of deal with the batting when we get our chance second time round.
Michael, Stuart Broad was saying yesterday the guys were tired but happy after a pretty good day. What's the feeling tonight? Is it a bit of shell shock after the collapse?
I wouldn't say shell shock. I mean, I think you know, we're pros, and you know, when it doesn't quite go to plan, I think obviously there's always a slight feeling of disappointment. But yeah, we're a pretty confident bunch in our abilities and how we bounce back from disappointing days, because you're going to have those as cricketers, and we're pretty confident we can do that.
Michael, you said that they play a very tough brand of cricket. Did they come hard at you verbally? Were you surprised by that?
I wouldn't say there was too much verbal chat out there. If there was, I mean, I certainly wasn't aware of it because I was too busy focusing on the ball. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's Test cricket, and you expect it's a battle out there, and you know, I certainly didn't come out here expecting, you know, the Aussies to be shaking my hand out there. So, you know, it's part of Test cricket. It's going to be tough, and you know, you have to prepare yourself for that.
Any concern, Michael, about the number of bouncers that Australia are clearly going to bowl at England in this series?
No, not particularly. No, we train as hard as any team out there, and our preparations leading into the Test series has been, I feel, spot on. It's an area of the game that we work on as, you know, as hard as any team out there. So no real concern.